I think we're up and running. Good morning, guys. A bit gray this morning. It's the end of our long period of unbearable sunshine. There's some kind of weather system out there in the Pacific, a typhoon. It won't hit us. There's no typhoon warning for Tokyo, but it means we're going to get gray and some drizzles and probably some heavy rain the next few days. But nothing dramatic here. The typhoon is down in, I think it's in Kyushu. It's hitting Kyushu again. Those people down there just keep getting clobbered again and again and again. No cone alignment this morning, sorry. Nice floater. We got a bit of garbage out there. Today's, what's the garbage today? Monday. Oh, I forgot! Yeah, today's the non-burnable, non-recyclable electronic goods and broken glass and stuff. That's the things that are supposed to go out today. I had something I was supposed to put out. I can't remember what it was. It'll have to wait. It's every 2 weeks. First Monday and third Monday. The girls probably left a bag here all wrapped up, different stuff inside it. I don't remember. I was supposed to put it out, maybe. I'm not going to start hunting for it now. John's asking, what's that down at the end of the street? What do you see that I don't see, John-san? Let's put it back up again. Well, the guy for the, yeah, it's the greenery change for the cafe across the street. This is every few months, maybe every 3 months. I don't know the schedule. He was there when I went out to the pool this morning at 7. He's done a long job today. When I came back too, he had a blue sheet on the ground and he had one of the plants and he was trimming. He's done a big job today. So some of the plants get changed, some of the plants get pulled outside and trimmed. He puts some on his truck, he brings some more out. You talk about chase lights, it doesn't change. Down at the Don Quixote store, there are a bunch of chaser lights running around. That's been going on for years and years and years. That's nothing new, John-san. Nothing new. John says, why have I never seen him before? I don't know. It's not new, I'm sure. We can go back and look at some previous streams. I think they're there all the time. So, are there car dealerships here? Not in this neighborhood, that's for sure. Absolutely. We're downtown. There's no way you could have a car lot full of cars. That sort of stuff is in the suburbs, in the burbs. All over the country, in the suburbs, but certainly not in the middle of a core urban area. Impossible. Nobody's noticed the chase lights. I don't believe it. They've been there ever since. I don't have back issues of Twitch streams here, but we can look it up. Absolutely, we can look it up. Maybe there's a truck parked in the way or something. Paper is not out. There is nobody here today. Absolutely nobody. Ishikawa-san, Dei-chan, Suga-san, Ayumi-san, Yuki-san, they're all off today. We're in the August Obon type period. Lots of people are on holidays. It's hurting me a bit for the scheduling because I've got lots of prints that I need to get scheduled, but at the moment today, everybody's off. Everybody. Our two outside main printers, Kawai-san, and Chiharu Kawai-san and Kubota-san, they're running along, but Kubota-san also, he took a bunch of time off last week. And maybe it's because of the sunshine. Maybe they're blurred out by the sun. Oh, yeah. You're talking about dealerships. If you're talking about the Mercedes dealership and stuff, they're in town, of course. We're talking about car lots, where they sell a bunch of cars and blah, 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 blah. Of course, all the big, there's, you name it, Tesla, Mercedes, whatever. Of course, those dealers are there. I'm sure, I don't know what the question was. I was thinking of car lots, Whatever, it doesn't matter, sorry. I didn't catch the actual question, so. So yeah, sorry if there's a bit of confusion there. I'm sorry. Showrooms everywhere. Of course, everywhere showrooms. Car lots, no, that stuff is out in the suburbs. Okay, we're just going to be picking up. It's the same thing. We're talking rabbit foam today, still continuing. But before that, there's a couple of things. This is from Yuki-san. Those of you who are waiting, if you're in the Patreon, you're waiting for the New Year print, the Nenga Patreon print. They're going out month by month by month, about 20, 25, 30 per month, according to the schedule. And this is the current batch. They will be going out later in August. And these are from Yuki-san. She has done a very, very, very nice job on this. She's our newest team member, and it looks like she might be hanging around. You know, I'm very, very happy. She's a hard worker. She's a cheerful young lady, and she just wants to do this so badly. And we're actually paying her. You know, that's what the Patreon funds and the Trainee Premium funds are for. We're paying her, but she wouldn't care. She would pay us to come here and do this. I think she thinks she's died and gone to heaven. Not all of her work is okay. She gave me a batch of prints last week. Well, whatever, we don't need to show them. They were nice, but they weren't the level that we'd be able to sell. There was too much variation in there, and she had put the key block in a bit too strong. She did that too with the first batch of these she did. She put the key block in too strongly, and it got, you know, it got, what's the word we talk about? Smucked, or I don't remember. There's a confused word about what it means when you put too much pigment and too much pressure and it goes blah. Smuck, was it? I don't remember. Anyway. But this is fine. And this is a difficult balance. She's got to put the black in enough to make a deep shadow, but not so much that it smears where the other colors touch it. And she's got to balance the deep blue and the deep gray. And this is actually not an easy print. She's done a nice job. There's the sample. We gave her the sample, and they've come up. Get it out of the plastic. So we're very, very happy to have her on board. We don't really know how long she's going to be around. There's visa issues and life issues, and she may want to go home and all that stuff. But for as long as she's willing to hang around, and as long as we can legally keep her, she's going to be here. We've certainly got room. We've certainly got printing benches available. What's somebody asking? The top print has some ink missing on the horn, or am I wrong? What are we talking about, sir? Oh, I know what you're talking about. The little white dot. There's a chip on one of the color blocks, which I really should get around to fixing. You're talking about this, are you? This is the block. It's got chipped. It's got popped. I really should fix that. Eagle eye. When the casual Twitch viewers start to recognize it, it's too late. It's time to fix it. No. We can't get away with anything here anymore. We can't get away with anything. That's what you get when you live publicly. Cut them corners, throw them all away. No blame to the printer. Chocolate egg, okay, fair enough, okay. What's this one? Oh, yes, this one's fun. This is not a new print at all. It's just another batch of one of our popular prints. This is coming in from Tsushima-san, who is our earliest printer. She's the first printer that Mokuhankan hired. I didn't hire her as a printer. I mean, she wasn't a printer when we hired her. She became a printer. She was a housewife out in Ome. And she came and joined the team. This was the year before the Kickstarter. This is 2011. She started training, got her apron off, put her printing apron on, and got training. And she has been a printer with us ever since then. And the thing is, she can't come and work here in Asakusa because, you know, she lives in Ome. So it's a bit sad for her. She works out there by herself. I get out to Ome not all that very often, and even on the days when I'm there, she may not happen to be at work that day. So she and I don't actually meet up all that very often anymore. So what she's got in the habit of doing, and what she's requested and what we do, is she does lots of repeats. She does a print that she has done once already and that we've worked over and decided what to do, and she wants to do it like that, so it's not too much stress. She has some issues with color mixing, so she much prefers to repeat prints that she's done before. She's happy with this, and she's okay. She's still got 3 little young kids, so there's no way she can be a journeyman, bang, printer. And she loves doing this one. It's good money for her. This is the easiest of the ukiyo-e heroes to print. There's no rich, deep background color. So they all want this one. Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? Because it pays really well compared to the amount of work that goes into it. And again, she's honest. The colors, they're just all the same. Bang, 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 all the way through. This is how we do it. I was a bit nervous when we first published this one because I was thinking there wasn't perhaps quite enough parody in it. But it seems that there is. I don't remember the character. I'm sorry, it's so many years since we made this. Good fun. One of the first prints from the first Kickstarter campaign back in 2012. The campaign that changed our life, absolutely. And this was part of that. Oh, here's I didn't get the embossing, sorry. There's our usual embossment. Again, we've been through this every time. We talk about this on the stream many, many, many times. Every print gets involved with, it gets carved with Horiburu and Suri Tsushima. Difficult characters to read, her name. I wouldn't have been able to read it without knowing them. Someone's saying Pikachu is a mouse. It's parodies. It's parodies. We can't use the actual characters, of course. This is a parody. So this afternoon, these will get counted. We'll click off the button to pay Tsushima-san for these. And these are not ready for sale. I cannot sell these in the shop yet. These all have to be sent over to America, to Jed. And he will date them and sign them. And he puts his red seal on each one of these before we can sell these. If you're interested in them, don't bother coming to my website. These are all on ukiyo-e-heroes.com. Somebody has probably already linked this. Thank you. Let's get to work. Someone says, seems like Jed's shop is closed for the time being. He's moving, and that may be what he's done. He's maybe shut it all down. He's moving house. He has done kind of well the last year or so, whatever, and he building a new house this summer. He's not moving across the world or anything. He's still in the same town in Provo, Utah, and he's building a new house with a workshop, a new studio for himself to do his work, and a workshop where the printers can work. Printers meaning the people running all his inkjet printing, because his main business, Jed's main deal, is making prints and posters and designs as giclée prints. And he's been, I guess, doing kind of well. He's got a new house. So he's moving this August. So the website might be down. What's the status of the Surfer Girl? It's in line, and it's waiting for me to do some repair work on the blue blocks. That, in fact, that'll be coming up next week. I think once this is cleared off my desk, my next carving job will be back to the Surfer. I'm sorry for the endless pushback. Priorities, subscriptions and prints for the collectors are always priorities. I'm sorry. These are a bit out of whack here. So I'm gonna move this. Pikachu, I have no idea. I'm sorry. Someone's saying, how did the line cleanup go on the Surfer? We're still doing that. That's still underway. All right, where would we? Can we finish this damn thing today or not? I don't need the scope for this. It's just got a lens. We should be able to finish this thing, I think. Endless talk and not enough action. Are we on camera? Yes, looks good. We've just finished the weekend here in the shop, and it was, you know what I'm going to say, I should just get a tape recorder and just play the same tape all the time. It was very, very, very busy. Way busier than we would ever expect in the middle of August. This year is clearly not a normal year. Many people are traveling in a season that they wouldn't normally like to travel, but simply whatever flights are booked, hotels are booked, everything's full up, so people are desperately trying to get any time in Japan. And there's lots of people who are here in August who would normally never do that. So we don't know if this is going to be ongoing now, if this is a permanent new thing, or if just simply this year is still a huge backlog of people who wanted to come to Japan and who are just desperate to get here. We have no idea if these numbers are going to continue. Speaking of numbers, just over the weekend, just yesterday alone, the volume of people here and the volume of revenue was more than the entire month of August for us in the first year that the shop was open, back in 2015. So in one day, yesterday, we did more than we did in 1 month in the first year. This is the numbers that we're dealing with, you know. It's good fun, but boy oh boy, it's not sustainable. And also the balance of visitors here in August now, and this is something that happened in the old days as well. It is starting to heavily tip towards Europeans. I know all year long we get people from all over the world. You know, our single biggest source of visitors online and in the shop would be North Americans, US and Canada, closely followed by Europe as a group, you know, and including in Britain there. But in July and August it tips a bit. And it's not perhaps that there are fewer Americans, but there are certainly more Europeans. And I would guess this is the holiday situation. A lot of people get extended holidays. Someone from France said, man, France just shuts down in August, you know, we got to get out of there. So I don't know, but it seems to me that we get more Europeans, Scandinavians, French, German, people from all over Europe. A lot of Italians the last few days as well. And that's heavy for us in July and August. So someone saying Italy also takes August off. So, you know, I don't know how pervasive this is. Certainly it's a different pattern in America. So this may be why we see so many European visitors at this particular time of year. And we hear horror stories. People start chatting about this. You know, we'll ask them why they're here and they're on vacation. And we say, like, how much vacation do you get? And the guy will say, 6 weeks or something like this. No, 6 weeks is not common, but we'll hear the story, you know. To ask somebody, how much vacation do you get? And the answer comes back as 6 weeks. This always, I mean, we've heard this before, but it always just blows us away. Our staff here just stands there. They listen to him and they talk to him. And then the staff looks towards me. 6 weeks, Dave. He gets 6 weeks. I'm like, what do you expect me to do, you know? I can't change the entire culture here by myself. We follow the laws very carefully here, you know. It's all very much set. Although I guess having said that, there's probably no rule against companies offering more vacation time than is mandated by law, I guess. 5 weeks, 6 weeks. I mean, come on. I don't know the record. We don't keep, you know, this is all anecdotal, so I don't know. Is it people from Germany? People from Germany seem to get a lot when we have these conversations. France also, we hear this, but France, it always goes, it's not the individual person's vacation. They always say the same thing. They say the whole country shuts down, like it's everybody gets their vacation together kind of a deal. When we hear from German people or Scandinavians, they talk about this as well. It seems to be more of an individual basis, the person and their relationship with their company and stuff like that. Whereas the one from France seems to be more of a national thing. I don't know. This is all just anecdotal from chatting with people in the shop, so I don't have any data here. We've got all your comments. Legal minimum is 4 weeks, 5 is common, 6 weeks. 6 weeks plus 11 personal days plus 10 sick days. When do you go in? My God, you forget where your desk is. John's got the comments, so take up as much time as I want as long as I can afford it. Who's your employer, John? Look in the mirror. There are, of course, labor laws here in Japan, and society is struggling to come to terms with them. We see and hear these stories from other countries, and Japan as a thing, Japan as a concept, very much struggles with this. We all know. We've heard about the salarymen working to death. We here at Mokuhankan are trying to do our part at making this sensible. And what we've done by doing this, simply we read the law and we apply the law, and we've been asking everybody to make sure they take their time. That's all we can do at this level here. And myself, I'm counted here in this company. I'm counted as what's called a daihyo, which I guess would translate as an executive. I'm not the CEO. There's no president here. We're not a shareholding type company. I'm not shacho. My legal status is daihyo. And all of the laws that relate to time off and stuff like this and whatever all have this asterisk on them. And at the bottom of the relevant pages, the asterisk says, these laws do not apply to the following groups. And of course, executives are one of these groups. There's no mandated vacation time for executives and stuff like this. But it also, I should sort of get this translated and bring it out because it's crazy. The laws relevant to time off and vacations do not apply to executives. And the list goes on and on and on. And if like you're a doctor or if you're a manager of some kind, these laws are just as the asterisk. Yeah, maybe you can think about doing this and maybe the company won't think about doing this. It's all optional at that level. So I have no mandated such thing as a holiday at all. It's just up to me. Walk out the door whenever I feel like it. We're all comparing time. Someone says, when it comes to the eye of the rabbit or other small round things, how do you carve a small round circle without it coming out jagged or broken? It's a question of the angle of the knife, and what I'm doing here is just carving generic general stuff. And the angle that the knife is sharpened, I'll just use the angle here. You can, let's do it at the edge so you can see it. We've got a typical angle of the knife here. We're talking about the angle here. And this is right now, it's your generic average angle. If I was carving a block or something that had many straight lines, and I really wanted the knife to be able to go in a straight line without wavering so much, I could get on the stone and I could cut the angle more obtuse, like this. And that means that knife is not going to go around corners easily, and it also really hangs on a straight line. And the blade we have somewhere in my box here, whatever, to cut straight lines it's an extremely obtuse angled blade. It's almost even 90 degrees actually. It's a bit of a bastardized blade. But the point being, once you're in the wood, that thing will not go around corners. But the question somebody's asking here, if you're going to go around corners, like if you're going to carve out this eye, well, I could do that with this knife because this is no big deal. It's not so fine. But if the circle was smaller, then the only way to do this is to do this. You've got to get your knife or get another knife out of your toolkit, and it's got to be at a more acute angle like this. And with the angle more acute, and Taran-san's probably got a couple of those in his box, you can then go around much tighter corners because there's much less steel in the wood. But the downside is they break like crazy. And if you try and go around a little bit too much of a tight corner, pop, you're going to lose it. So I would never use a blade like that for general use like this today. This one allows me to go around the corners that I've got on this block. We can do the eye. We're going to cut the eye away anyway, but let's see just for a sample. Yeah, this is no problem. We don't dig the knife in all that deeply. Round we go. Try not to go too much all at once. And pop, out she comes. But if the eye was a lot smaller, I would absolutely have to have this sharpened at a different angle. No, the eye's not staying here. This whole rabbit area, it's a confusing block. We're pulling out the red. All of this area in a few minutes is going to be chopped out of here. This area, including the eye, including the nose and everything else, this is going to be chopped out. So I'm not spoiling anything by doing that eye here. That's wasted wood that's coming out in a couple of minutes. This block is going to be for the background watercolor. It will not include any rabbit. Today's Monday, and this will be the last time that you're going to see Ayano-san for a while. Ayano-san is in today and tomorrow, and then she's out of here for a few weeks, a couple of weeks, on her visit to the UK, together with her new husband, Taran-san. So she'll be here today. Her normal time is 9 o'clock, but I'll bet the $1 to 2 donuts that Ayano-san is going to be here earlier today, because she has a workload on her desk to get cleaned up before she goes and to train her replacements, among whom one is me. So she's got a bunch of stuff to do next 2 days. So she could show up any time now, actually. She's supposed to be here at 9, but she will be here probably early this morning. So. Perhaps now I've embarrassed her. Perhaps she'll show up at 9 o'clock. I don't know, but whatever. I'm just guessing. She's already started to prepare. On Friday night, late Friday night, I got an email from Ayano-san. Said, okay, guys, here's the first draft of your assignments for the next few weeks. And she's taken her job and broken it up into groups. One group for Dave to do, one group for Watanabe-san to do, one group for somebody else to do. And reading through the whole email, it was a long email. Reading through it made me realize that this young lady, she's been here a year. And boy, oh boy, she's chopped off, she's, bitten off a whole bunch of jobs, She's done everything we asked her to do and then just octopused her way into the company. She's really indispensable here, I don't say this in an evil way. She's not done this, She's simply a competent, good person, and but having such a person disappear for a few weeks is going to be I don't know if we're ever going to be a large enough size that we will have different people sharing so many jobs that vacations can be handled easily. I don't know how it works. For us, still no. Look at this conversation. My God, I have no idea what you guys are talking about here. I'll try and go through it later. How's your time? 8:30. Last time you said you made a list of things to tell us. I've got a list and I have no idea where my list is. I have lists of lists here. One thing I do remember is at the end of June, we came to our year end, our financial year end, and I started preparing a bunch of little charts and graphs and stuff to show you. And I sort of, forgot a little bit about it. And one of the charts that I was going to show you was about the growth in our subscription print model over the years since Mokuhankan started in 2012. And you've reminded me now, it's in here in my list somewhere. So we had a pie chart, an expense chart. I do have a chart for you, but I can show you the chart, click, pop, but it's going to have too much data to sort of blah, blah, blah. So what I'll do is I'll put the chart up for a couple of minutes, explain what's going on. And if you're interested in this, then screenshot it so you can see it later. Because I can't leave it up all that long. And yet there's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of detail in this chart. So whatever, before Einstein gets there, let's do this then. This is one of the charts that's come up at the end of our financial year in June. But the chart you're going to see here is actually a chart based on annual data rather than financial year data. Our financial year ends in June, but the data you're seeing here is annual data. And this is nothing to do with my own personal subscriptions that happened, you know, the Poet series and all that stuff that happened before Mokuhankan. This is the subscriptions that we started since 2012. And the point came up, we had done the Kickstarter campaign in 2012, the Ukiyo-e Heroes Kickstarter, and the idea came up, why don't we also start subscriptions based on that? So 2013, you can see them, they're all color-coded here. 2013 was our first experiment at doing subscriptions with what we had as Chibi Heroes. And then they go on and on and on and on and on from down there. And you can see an interesting thing here. If you ignore 2014 and 15, there's sort of a natural growth curve. There's sort of a parabolic type curve, and that's the organic growth. 2014 was an exception. We didn't know it, but it was an exception. And what happened in 2014, we had started our Ukiyo-e Heroes portrait series, and a young man on, I guess it was on a YouTube channel, a young man called Total Biscuit wrote about our work and said, hey, you guys got to check this out. And it went insane for us. He was a very, very influential YouTuber. He has passed away since then. I chatted with him back and forth a little bit, let him know what he had done for us and stuff like this. We sent him some prints. And when he passed away, his corner of the internet melted down. He was a very, very influential person who was very, very much liked in his community. Anyway, he, without really thinking about it much, he had said, hey, look, hey, my fans, look what's happening over here. And he linked to us, and it went berserk, insane, for a couple of years. It was actually difficult for us because it overloaded our our production capability. And you can see we fell back down 2016, 17, and 18. And you can see the normal curve. Without the Total Biscuit boost there, it would have been a more consistent curve. Then a few years back, 2019, we dropped something extra in here. I had copies left over myself of the My Solitudes prints, but I am not legally allowed to run printmaking business now that I am an executive of a company doing woodblock prints. So I can no longer sell prints privately, but I had all the My Solitudes prints left over. So we have rolled those into Mokuhankan, and Mokuhankan buys them from me quietly month by month as they go in. So that's why you see the Solitudes prints in here at the left. These are leftover prints from the ones I used to make. Anyway, you see the trajectory, 2022, you know, this has been, the pandemic may have helped us, the pandemic may have done nothing. We don't know. This is not the shop business. This is nothing to do with pandemic. And up till last year, it was one series each year. The red group was the Delight prints. Above that, the green was Scenes of Nature. This year is different. We have two sets running side by side. So this year's series and next year's is the gray and yellow you see at the bottom. And they are doing very, very, very well. But the ED series last year was just, it was the biggest thing we have ever done. It was so much fun. So much fun. And somebody's talking about holiday season. This won't have anything to do with holiday season. Looking at the trends here, we're going to, whatever, we'll be, we're now in early August. Maybe we'll get to the 50 million level. I don't know. This will not be affected at all by Christmas and holidays. This is our subscription corner. Anyway, sort of hold it there for too long, but there it is. That's actually our core business model. We have three legs to our tripod here. One is subscriptions, which you see there. The other is online sales, which we'll show a graph of later. And then one, of course, is the Asakusa shop, which is now come back to life. So there's three legs to our tripod here. The numbers were yen. When you see millions here, if for those of you say dealing in dollars, whatever, currently it's around 140 or something. So if you took a 45 million at the end there, divided it by 140, that'll give you the amount in pennies. So what was last year's revenue was what? In dollars, it would have been about $300,000, somewhere around there. The numbers look great. In yen, it looks great. You look like a multimillionaire, but it's not that much. Our subscription revenue last year would have been about $300,000 in US. And there's a lot of work, you know. There's a lot of work. Each individual print is not very expensive. So to fulfill those, to carve and print and ship and do the billing and do the bookkeeping for every one of those prints is no trivial matter. No trivial matter at all. So I'm saying 141, whatever, we don't get that much. Most of our overseas payments come through PayPal, and they are the company everybody loves to hate. They give us the service. They will do what we need. They will collect money from people all over the world on our behalf, which none of the other payment processors will do. We can't use Square, Stripe, Wise. None of them work for us in our market and making payments to us here in Japan. We are, at the moment, whether we like it or not, we are shackled to PayPal. And the benefit is they do the job for us. They do it really, really well, and they pour it through, and they're well known. They're a company everybody loves to hate, but they do the job. The downside for us is the exchange rates. They know they have us over a barrel, and they just keep, whatever, let's keep it polite here. We don't get 141. When the international rate is 141, we will get, we'll get 135 something. That's all they'll give us. They are absolute robbers, and they've got their business model. They know how to do this. And none of the other providers offer us the service here in Japan that we need. Square, for example, all over the world, no problem. We are not legally allowed to accept Square payments in dollars. This is the way Square has made their deal with the Japanese finance authorities here. If I put up a web page with a woodblock print, click here and pay through Square, that transaction has to be in yen. And when we put up web pages with prints in yen, everybody overseas gets scared because they look really, really, really expensive. PayPal allows us to sell in dollars, and they will accept dollars on our behalf, and then we're not allowed to take dollars from PayPal legally. We're stuck with PayPal's exchange rate, and PayPal is only allowed to give us yen. And this is all part and parcel of the Japanese banking laws. Well, somebody says, isn't it worth it if they're doing a good job? I get it. This is why I'm not bitching here. I'm describing what's happening. PayPal, without PayPal as it's currently structured and with their global model, we could not do the graph you just saw. So I'm not sitting here, I'm griping about the PayPal transaction fees, but yeah, that's their model. And they provide us a service that allows us to do this business. So as somebody says, isn't it worth it if they're doing the job? I would prefer there were a few more alternatives to have better competition, but I'm living in the world that I live in at the moment. Most of these laws and regulations relate to things like international banking. PayPal here in Japan is not a bank, and they are very, 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 very careful about this. And they're in touch with me all the time. Every couple of weeks, I get emails from them about this. Dear Mr. Bull, it's come to our attention that you are holding too much value in your PayPal account. Please remit it to your local currency as soon as possible. And the government is on them. If people start holding more than 1 million yen, they're going to look at PayPal and say, you're not a money transfer company, you're a bank, and thus you're subject to banking regulations. At the moment, PayPal is registered not as a bank here in Japan. They're registered as a, I forget the legal term, whatever, money transfer business, whatever, not as a bank. But if we held too much money in our accounts at any one time, The banking authorities will investigate this and they will tell PayPal, look, I can see what's going on here. You're not really a transferer. People are holding money. You're a bank. So bang, bang, bang. So PayPal forces me to empty my PayPal account very, very frequently so that they don't get in trouble with the banking authorities here. Someone's making a comment there that this is a case for crypto. You're speaking there about the way to move money around the world from one person to another. But what you're missing when you say this should be handled by crypto is another aspect. We need a website with showing products and showing prices, and we need a place where normal consumers, under a normal way of doing business, can look at the price and say, yeah, I would like that, and bang, bang, make a transaction. And if I were just simply accepting crypto, forget it. Normal consumers are not going to have anything to do with this at all. So we need a normal, acceptable by typical consumers structure here. The price has to be understandable. They have to trust the provider. They have to know what's going to go on. And PayPal offers us that. Consumers may not always like PayPal, but they know what it is. And also security. If we were dealing with smaller other companies, what's the security? PayPal must be, of course, under attack from every hacker under the planet every minute of the day. And those guys are as secure as anybody. They're certainly more secure than me putting up a page on my website where it says, please type in your Visa number, which I am not about to do. This is the surfing rabbit. Yes, so still at it. We might be, if I can keep quiet enough, 8:48, we might be finished these curves today. Then I've got to chew out the rabbit, go around the outside. There is another block coming. It'll probably be on the back side of this. It'll have the ears and a couple of other spots here and there. It's sunshine again today. The forecast is for rain, rain, rain. But look at that, the sun is back. Not sure if anybody has asked, or I didn't notice all the comments that have been going by here today, but the local news here, this weekend was the first full weekend of our neighbor's new business. The Oyster Shack has opened a new takeout window, not for oysters and not for any of their other fried foods, but they have opened a window where they are now selling churros. And they are 40-centimeter long churros, deep fried while the people watch. The people put their order in and the girl pulls it out of the little fridge there and dunks it in the batter, and it's deep fried while they watch. 750 yen each, and I was thinking like nowhere they're going to sell anything, but they've been actually doing okay. I don't sit there all day watching what they're doing, but each time I go outside to see what's going on and take a look at the scenery, there have been customers there. So they haven't had lineups, they haven't had non-stop business, but they're up and running. And what they have done is they've got a couple of young girls there doing this, and each time they do this, one girl stays in the takeout window doing the job, and the other girl grabs a pamphlet and starts walking up and down the street. I don't know How do you like churros? Let's stop here, fresh made while you stand. Come and get your new churros, blah, blah, blah. She stands there hawking up and down the street, the two girls. Someone says, have I tried one? Hopefully they're curled. What they do is it's 40 centimeters long, they deep fry it, then they roll it into the standard shape, and they pop it in a little paper cup. So they've got the paper cup, and the people bite the top, it springs into two, and they nibble their way down. I haven't tried one. Don't intend to. And they come out hot. They've got a couple of tables there on the sidewalk where people stand while they're eating them, because the community here is trying to discourage people from eating while walking down the street and going in other shops, of course. So they've got a couple of tables, standing tables there. And I've seen people, they get there, they get a package from the girl, and then they go like this, oh, and it seems to be really, really hot. But I don't know, 750 yen. I don't know, what do I know? What do I know? A lot of garbage down there. It's been a weekend there. And the garbage pickup at the moment is happening in front of the Korean hot dog restaurant. And they're booming. They are really, really, really booming. You know, the garbage trucks pop this up. The garbage truck down there, he's parked right outside the Adidan hot dog, the Korean hot dog restaurant there. And Monday is a busy garbage day there. This is not the city garbage pickup. This is a private garbage pickup, because those guys have way, way, way too many garbage. We are allowed a maximum of 2 45-liter bags per pickup by the city. And if the amount of garbage you're generating is over that amount, the city will not pick it up, and you must contract with a private garbage pickup person. And all the shops here, the Oyster Shack next door, the Korean restaurant down there, they're way, way, way over the limit, of course. We barely make our limit. We sometimes don't even have a garbage bag to put out. So we're okay. We use the city system, and we put the city stickers on it. We have to pay for the stickers. The ninjas do have the TV outside. It's right behind the tree. From where my camera is today, their TV is hidden right behind that tree. And they run it late. It was running late last night till, my God, long after I'd gone to bed, 11 o'clock or so. Do I sleep at the shop? I sleep directly upstairs from here on the front room. I overlook the scene that you are seeing there. That's where I crash these days. These days, it's been where I've crashed for the past, since 2014. Maybe some changes coming. We'll see what we can figure out. Maybe. Some of these angled curves here, it's going to be hard to tell what it looks like when it prints, so a lot of this will be adjusted after printing. The back side of this was carved sharply, but the front side of this, or whichever terminology, is carved more randomly, but I can't really tell what it looks like. It'll depend on the type of paper we're using, how much barren pressure we use. So I'm going to cut here what I think is something close to what we want, but I really can't tell until we do test printing. And I think that might be all the foam. Is that it? Have we got it all? Oh, there's one, missed one. I think that's it. There's splashes of pink here and there, but that's just because I was loosey-goosey with the marker. Maybe we can cut this one. Oh, it's Soka. I guessed wrong. Oh, ho, 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 ho. No, around a half an hour ago, I was thinking she might be coming early today because what you do.
No.
Come on. Junk in the way. I'm sorry. Come on.
I've got almost work done last week. So.
Yeah. So she did it actually. Rather than save her work for Monday, the last day, she got it all done.
Well, it's not a good idea to save it until the last minute, so.
Some of us might do that. so.
Yeah, I still have to do some stuff before I go, but.
But how about personally? All the preparation done, packing, everything all set to go, visas, passports, all that kind of stuff?
大丈夫だと思います. I don't know if what I have forgotten, but
anything.
I never know until I get there. So.
Yeah.
Passport は大丈夫.
Yeah.
お金も OK. If I have passport and money, I will be okay, I guess.
You told me, you said it's an early flight, like a 7 o'clock flight or something? Or?
8? Was it 8?
8 o'clock flight. My
Yeah.
God, I
mean,
hate
we're going
those.
to Haneda, so it's okay. It's better than leaving at night. I don't like late flight.
Really?
Like 9 p.m. to 10 p.m.
There's so you hustle during the day. You do this. You get hustling, and you get on the airplane. It's a late flight, and you go.
I sleep anyway.
You sleep anyway. On a morning flight, you're flying at 8 o'clock, and you're going to go to sleep on the plane. You can't do that.
Full running off ですか? I fall asleep ですか? I literally sleep anywhere.
Okay, really. But also the other problem, like they're asking us now to check in like a couple of hours early. So it's an 8-hour flight. You got to check in like 6:30 or 7.
Yeah.
You got to get to the airport. You guys live on the west side of Tokyo. You're going to get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning or something.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Young. And then what? But there'd be no trains. So take a taxi, or you hit the first trains are.
Take taxi, go to Shinjuku Station, and I don't know. We're gonna get.
You've checked the train times.
Train, yeah.
Okay.
Should be okay.
Good. Are you guys excited about this?
I think so. Just I'm a bit tired of packing and preparing souvenir and stuff, but I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Normally, I don't prepare souvenir when I travel abroad, but this time we're going
family,
to see
yes,
family and my
of
friends.
course.
Yeah.
Soka.
I don't know what people would like, for omiyage souvenir. What would they like? what do they want from Japan?
Well, if you're in Europe or Great Britain then, and you've got family member coming back from Japan, what do you expect in the way of souvenirs? I don't know. I really have no idea about
Yeah, I
this.
asked his family, but nobody really answer our question. Like we want specific answer, but what they want is
Okay, well, let me drop one on you, because the years I used to go back and forth visiting my kids who lived over there and my mother and father when everybody was, when it was, that's all fading away now. But in the years when I went every year, for the first year, I tried to do the thing like I would take a Japanese type souvenir, like a chopstick thing or something like this, or a teacup or a sake cup or whatever. But every year with the same people, and it became impossible. So finally, I landed on the thing that turned out to be the perfect solution. On the way to the airport, yes, I stopped at Nikki no Kashi. Nikki no Kashi. It's one of those shops that has every kind of packaged little foods and snacks and kawara no machi toka and all this stuff from all over Japan.
やっぱそういうのが好き
And
なんです
they've got cardboard boxes at the checkout. And I would have my backpack and one suitcase, and you're allowed to check in 2. And I get a cardboard box from Nikki no Kashi, 100 yen, 200 yen, 100 yen, 100 yen, 70 yen, 100 yen, 200 yen. Fill it with all this stuff. The green tea Kit Kats or whatever happens to be the current thing. And the people over there, my mother, oh my God, my mother hit this box and like, how many can I have? And
So what they want is
they're
snacks.
just stuff that is nothing. It's off the supermarket. The kids, when we were kids here, you bought kawara no machi, the show. Nothing for you. But for them, it's exotic, interesting, super interesting.
Okay.
So-
We got lots of snacks, so I think we'll be okay. I have even asked my friend living in Dublin what she wants.
Yeah, people love foreign
She
snacks.
just-
This really is. There's a customs issue. You can't get any wet stuff. Like you can't buy jelly or whatever because the airport doesn't allow you to take liquids, blah, 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 blah. But I never had any trouble. This box of snacks, boom, straight through.
Okay.
I don't know anything about restrictions in England going in. I don't know about that. I'm talking about Canada, and it was just never any problem. And I didn't buy stuff like beef jerky that had meat in it. We're talking
That's
simply
right.
cookies and Kit Kats and chocolate snacks and stuff like that.
We got lots of chocolate. It's Taryn's preference, but I think they're all already melting in our suitcase today. I told them like, no, please don't buy chocolate. It's gonna melt. It's gonna melt.
Yeah.
And then he bought bunch. So.
Someone's saying Tokyo banana. That's a big deal overseas somewhere, whatever. So Pocky,
Pocky いっぱい買いました。
Pocky,
コアラのマーチも
and also, one thing I did discover, mentioning Pocky. Pocky has this giant Pocky, and the kids went nuts about this. They went nuts, nuts. And my grandchildren, when they were like 5, 6 years old, whatever.
Okay.
So granddad comes from Japan. He doesn't need to bring a robot model. He needs to bring a box of Pocky, and that's it. They're fine. They're
We
happy
should
with
have
this.
gone to Don Quixote ですね。
That's pretty expensive,
そうですか。
Ueno Nikki no Okashi. It's a huge shop in Ueno, in Okachimachi.
Okay.
And for me, I just did that. Then I jumped on the Keisei. This was before the KQ line.
Right.
So I go to Nikki no Okashi, jump on the Keisei line, bang, out there, done.
They might be closed in the morning.
They won't be open on that time of day. I don't know. So anyway, just to put it in your idea box.
Thank
So
you.
whatever.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Whew. Yeah, exciting. では。
She sent me an email Friday night. Sent us all this staff email. This the longest email you've written in your life, I think. So,
I think so.
Dave, here's your jobs to do. And like it scrolls down the page and scrolls down the page some more and scrolls down the page. And she sent it all to all of us. So I get to see Aoyama-san's jobs, Watanabe-san's jobs, and Ayana-san here has passed on.
Yeah.
She's divvied up her job to all of us. So. Aren't you worried about a risk there? Maybe we can all just do these things. We don't need you back. We can handle this stuff now without you.
And I will find another job. So. It's okay. It's okay.
I don't think you're any worry about that.
ジョブを探しますから。
How long, I forget, you're away for what is it? It's 20 days or something? I forget. You're off 7, 14
Well,
to
it's
18.
actually 16, 15 to 16 days.
No, but I mean start to finish. I mean, there's weekends and stuff mixed in too. So
9th でしょ? They're coming back on the 25th. So.
the 9th to the 25th. So
Yeah.
fight. We can handle it.
大丈夫です。
We can handle it.
The
We can handle
wave
it.
is over, I guess.
You haven't seen yesterday's. Yesterday we did more in the shop than in
the
the first August of when we were open.
Wow, okay. I was talking about
One
online
day
orders,
we did
but
more.
yeah, I didn't think about the shop.
No. Also, we've broken the cash register.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah. I have no idea. I've tried and I cannot figure out. So I'm just going to hands off, leave it to Ayama-san. He can, whatever.
He can fix it, I'm
Yep.
sure.
Vesky, are you going to Wales? I went to university in North Wales. She is indeed. I don't know what part of Wales you're going to. South, north? I don't know. Do you know the town name? She knew the town name, but it's one of.
But it's written Welsh. Like I don't know how to pronounce like Welsh.
But no, but are you down south? Are you near Cardiff? Are you near Bristol? What part of Wales are you going to?
って言ってたかな。near the beach ですね。どこのビーチか
Near
わか
the
んない
beach, whatever, near the beach. I have no idea what it. I don't know. She'll report back later on. I don't know where she's going at all. I'm sorry. Or if Taran-san's here. No, he won't be here on Monday. Taran-san's not here, so.
楽しみですね。
Okay, good,
お
good,
土産
good.
何がいいか教えてくださいね。What do you want?
Oh, the backwards problem.
Yeah.
Bringing back stuff to Japan. No one's going to worry about that, really. It doesn't matter. Just a box that we can all share upstairs.
Snack.
Don't worry about person by person by person. My God. You know.
Okay.
Please
Something
don't do
we can
that.
share.
Yeah, just
Okay.
something upstairs we can share.
Okay. じゃあ
Okay, see you soon.
See you
Yep,
soon.
yep. Oh, Taran-san is here. I thought you were at school or something today. North Wales. I've never myself been to that country, Taran-san, never. I was born in England, but we left when I was 5. And by the time I was 5 years old, we weren't doing a whole lot of traveling around the country, so I've never been to Wales. I'm sorry. At this point now, I kind of doubt I ever would, but whatever. Okay, it's 9:07. We have a show and tell today, but before that, we have a little bit of persuading. Okay, it's going to get a little bit noisy for a few minutes. We have, I think, good compressors and limiters on here, so you shouldn't be too much worried. It looks bad. There's going to be a bunch of noise, and maybe if you're wearing headphones, please be careful for a minute here, but I think we are okay. And we have to get, excuse me, we have to get rid of the rabbits, because this is a background block that will print the waves, and we don't need the rabbit on this block. So let's get rid of everything that looks like a rabbit against the grain. Okay, I think that's all the part I can do with the chisels. The rabbit is gone, and there is no block to print the rabbit in this print. It's hard to describe what's going to be happening. This block will print an outside area for the waves. We have a separate block that will then print impression on the waves, but with no pigment, and that block leaves out also the space of the rabbit. So the rabbit will appear here pretty much just as a white negative space. At least that's the plan. And if it doesn't work, then we'll think of plan B and we'll do something else. But that's the basic plan at the moment. Do I have an image of what the finished print will look like? No, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. All we have is as I said, all we have is the key block. This is the concept, but this will not be printed with black ink. This will be printed with just embossing. So if you just imagine bluish, sort of light blue background around the outside with white areas of foam cut out and then embossed, and the rabbit will stay as a white bumpy area in the middle of the print. How's our time? Must be getting on, I think, the show. Is it getting close to, I know. Oh, it is indeed getting close. Sorry, look at this. Sorry about that. How hard physically is the sculpting act? No, nothing. I'm a weak guy. There's no major muscular effort involved whatsoever. In terms of this traditional printmaking, the people with the muscles are not the carvers, they are the old-fashioned big printers. Because when you have a big block there, print, that's where the hard work comes in. The job we're doing here, nothing. The tools are very sharp, we're not taking off much at a time, and when we need to, we have the mallet, which does the hard work for me. So there's no big musculature involved at all in this carving job. when I get to the edge of this block, we'll be doing it whatever next time or whatever. We've got to take our chisels and we've got to whack off this area here. But there's so little wood being moved at any given time. There is no big deal on the hard work. Nothing. I'm not muscle man at all. Okay, for show and tell today, it's going to be a little bit of a repeat. It's something I did show you before, but I didn't know too much about it at the time, and I wasn't able to explain too much about it at the time. But recently, Sadako-san, in her time at the shop here, in the time between customers coming in, Sadako-san has been investigating some of the stuff in our collection. And over the past couple of weeks, actually, a couple of days, couple of weeks, whatever, I don't remember exactly, she's been looking at some of the older magazines that we have here. And she's learned about a bit more about this, and I can pass on some of this to you guys now. So we've looked a little bit at these before, but we're going to look a little bit more in depth over the next 10 minutes here. Maybe most of you, maybe not even, are going to remember what we are talking about. Here is one copy of the thing I'm talking about. Back at the very, very, very end of the Meiji period. And we're talking here about Meiji 44. It would have started in Meiji 42, 43, 44, the very tail end of the Meiji period. An interesting man self-published a magazine called Konohana. Now, I would never, ever have been able to read this. The characters are so distorted. But Konohana is the name of his magazine. And when he published it over a period of about 3 years first, and then it didn't survive in the marketplace. Somebody else came in to help him sponsor it, whatever, and it ran for another 2 years in the early Taisho period. So altogether, it ran for a period of about 5 years, give or take a few months. And I showed you before some of these things, but we've learned a little bit more about this. In the introductory issue to this, the one where he is saying, hi, here's who I am, here's this new magazine, in volume 1, he writes a bunch of information about why he is doing this. And he was an educated, interested, literate Japanese person. And it really, really seems to bother him that the Japanese themselves were losing interest in some of their own culture, older culture, specifically ukiyo-e and art, and Westerners were going crazy about this. He had learned, for example, that in Germany there was a research book published about the history of Hokusai, whereas he could find nothing that was done in Japanese here. And the Western researchers were flooding into the country and learning about ukiyo-e, and that nothing was happening in Japan. Also, he's got stories telling about the prices. The Westerners were coming in here buying this stuff for XXX, and the dealers were happily doing this and supplying this, and yet Japanese were not interested. And this seems to have bothered him to the extent that what he said to himself was, I'm going to change this. I am going to publish a magazine which is sort of a research magazine, but not for scholars. It's for normal people in Japan. And I'm going to show them, introduce them to anything and everything that was anything to do with the world of ukiyo-e and anything peripheral to that. And he wasn't talking about how the prints were made, how you did the carving and how you did the rubbing. He was talking about the actual content of the prints, what they were talking about, who their market was, what the message was they were communicating. Anyway, long story short, he set up this magazine. And it seems, I think we now have them all. The first version of Konohana, which started, I said, where's number 1? Let me get the exact date here. Number 1, and it's Meiji 43, January the 1st. He opened up the new year with this. And he ran it for 18 issues over a period of a couple of years. It was monthly at first, but he got a bit slowed down a bit by various things. And he did 18 issues at first, and then he closed it off. He did what's called a final issue, a sort of a shutting down issue, which is really, really fat. This would have been number 19 if he had numbered them all. And this now is the last month of the Meiji era. Meiji 45, July the 15th. And the emperor died actually a few days after that. So he didn't know it, but this was the very last month of the Meiji era. And he did a big fat issue with all the stuff he had left over. And on the last page, there's an addenda saying, we're not actually dead. Somebody else is taking over from me, and we're going to keep going. And then 2 months later, in now the first year of Taisho, the emperor died, and the same year became known as Taisho Gannen. They published the first of the new group, and there were 24 of those published altogether. So we have them all now, and I really, really, really want to find a way to get this content out into the world. Some of the research here is old-fashioned research, which later became whatever it became, found that the newer research got better data, whatever. So not everything he says in these books is absolutely true, but page after page after page, it's hugely interesting. This is the very first issue. He sets up his topic, what he wants to talk about, and then he just dives in. And what does he do? We're on page 4, whatever. He's taken 3 images from different ukiyo-e prints, and he's comparing the way that they draw ume and bamboo and pine trees, 3 major themes of Japanese art. It's Sho Chikudin. And he writes a little miniature story about this. Next page, what have we got? A comparison of how hairstyles were carved in the older ukiyo-e with something that was carved by a living artist as he was doing this. Bottom of the page, how you explain the phases of the moon in terms of ukiyo-e carving. Next page, and he jumps right in, talking about the Yoshiwara, the prostitutes, that they weren't all ladies, that there were men working in the Yoshiwara with services for sale. I mean, who was this magazine aimed at? It goes on and on and on. He's got lists of the ukiyo-e artists, the history, this. A couple of pages later, Sadako showed this to me. I had no idea what this was. If we flip forward, he starts to show the strange concept of how you show ukiyo-e with the noses straight on. Most ukiyo-e, the noses are done at an angle, but it's possible to do it straight on. And he does an analysis of different artists. Of course, there are woodblock prints pasted into this thing. He's done an artificial, a fake sumo bansuke using the name of ukiyo-e artists instead of actual sumo wrestlers. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Still a couple of minutes left here. So this one is crazy. Sadako tried to figure this out yesterday and just got tangled in it. He's given us a British logic puzzle. There are 6 daughters and 6 sons in this family. Here they are all lined up. There are not enough presents to go around. I forget there were too many presents to go around. There are 15 presents to distribute among 12 people. And he starts to do the logical. If you start from the right and count 4 people, then give this person this, but skipping the ones that are such and such. And it's nothing to do with ukiyo-e research, but this guy just found this interesting and jumped it in here. And it goes on page after page after page. And I've got to think about how I can get this information out into the world, because it is just so hugely interesting. And the guy died in 1955, which means technically his copyrights have 2 more years to run in Japan. Japan is death plus 70, and he died in 1955. He hung on. He had a good, full, rich life. So 2 years from now, his copyrights are open, and this stuff can be distributed with no problem whatsoever. The question of how to get it, step 1, how to get it into modern Japanese, and then step 2, how to get it into some other language that we can read, English probably. They need, I guess, step 1 to be scanned page by page, then a fairly modern version of OCR. And OCR now is changing all the time, and AI is jumping in, and it may be quite possible to make use of some modern AI programs to help get this out into the world. So I'm just thinking now how we can schedule some time for this. We've got the books, we have the resources. Our Patreon campaign is helping us with all kinds of resources. We don't need to ask for any money to do this at all. We have the physical resources. What I don't have are the people resources. Step one clearly is scanning, page by page by page, scanning. If I had thought it was just about ukiyo-e, how you carved this here and how you carved that here and what date this person was born and what date that person was born, I wouldn't think this was interesting enough. But it's not. This guy was an intellectual, what's the word? An intellectual pack rat. Just anything and everything was grist for his mill. He found interest in every step of this. Many of the prints that are included in here are actually hand-carved and printed prints, and he was also experimenting with what they called at the time sekihan. This is lithography, to see if it would be a suitable way to reproduce prints. But most of the prints included in these volumes are hand-carved and hand-printed. There's at least 2 prints in every volume and more in some volumes. Anyway, there you are. To introduce this thing just a little bit, to put the idea on the table, to recap again, the magazine is called Konohana, the last couple of years of the Meiji era and the first 2 years of the Taisho era. And it's an absolute gold mine and an absolute treasure. So I'm saying, what's lithography? We call it these days offset printing. It's where there's a flat surface and oil and water don't mix. Anyway, there, this is a small introduction to it, and I've got to now figure out how we can move forward with getting this ready and getting this information out into the world. We've got what looks like a full set, and it would be criminal just to sit on these things and not get them out there. Okay, not the most interesting show and tell in the world, but it's information that I really wanted to get out there and have a look. It's now Monday morning. I'll be back here 3 days from now. The rabbit is probably going to be history. Maybe I'll be doing work on the surfer girl. I don't know. A bit too soon for me to call. Let's get the outside camera up. Not the sunshine. It's supposed to be raining today, the show. What do you think, Utagawa-san? これから雨?
That's the set, but I don't know.
Yeah. 天気予報は雨ですが、just sunshine. So. Okay, we are out of here. Thanks so much, gang. I'll see you in 3 more days. Bye for now.